Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I go by Londoncookss, and today I wanted to show you guys how I made this really delicious curried beef. So to season my beef, I'm going to be using some salt, garlic powder, Maggi all-purpose seasoning, Grace ginger garlic pimento seasoning, complete seasoning, black pepper. I do also have my favorite fresh blend, some thyme. I also have a few red skinned potatoes and some pimentos, which I'm going to ground. And of course curry powder, which I only use one kind. Here's my beef after it was washed with vinegar and water. I did also clean it up by removing any excess fat from the meat. Now I'm going in with all my seasonings, which I did use about 2.5 tablespoons of each seasoning, with an exception of the salt, the curry powder, and also the pimento seeds. I did use only about 1 tablespoon of salt at this point in time, but I will be adding salt as the meat cooks, just to ensure that it's to my liking. The pimento seeds also, I did not season my meat with pimento seeds simply because I'm using that ginger, garlic, and pimento season from the Grace brand. So if you don't have that seasoning, for sure you can definitely use garlic powder, ginger powder, and pimento separately. For my fresh blend also, you guys, I did include a list of ingredients at the bottom of my screen, so you can definitely take a look at that if you wanted to make a fresh blend for your meat also. And after combining everything together, I did allow this to sit for 24 hours. Now I like to add my fresh blend last when seasoning meat, you guys, simply because when I add the powder seasons to my meat, I somewhat eyeball it to see, if it looks like it needs more seasoning, and then I add the fresh blend last. So I'm going to be cooking my beef in my Dutchie pot over a medium-high heat, and I'm adding enough olive oil just to coat my pot. If you don't have a Dutch pot, you guys, a casserole skillet works just as fine. The materials are pretty similar. I did also add about 3 tablespoons of curry powder in here, and I'm going to allow this curry to burn while stirring it, and I did so for about a minute or so. And then I'm going to add my beef to begin browning the beef. Now I allowed this beef to brown for about 30 minutes, and you guys are going to see why I left it in there for so long. As the beef browns, it's going to spring water. I'm allowing it to brown also because I want it to get a nice pretty color, but it's going to spring water. So even though we will be adding some water to this beef, we're not going to be adding a lot at a time, simply because this beef is going to spring water as it cooks. And I continue to let it brown over a medium-high heat. And as you can see, the beef has started spraying water as it browns. Okay, so I did also go in with a few pimento balls that I did ground it, and also about 2.5 tablespoons of some more curry powder, along with 2 tablespoons of my fresh blend. And I did also put a little piece of cilantro in here, you guys, not a really big piece, simply because cilantro can be pretty overpowering. And I literally just wanted just a little extra flavor in here, nothing to overpower the taste of the curry. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with some water at this point in time, and I'm just gonna pour enough that it's almost covering the meat, simply because I'm going to now allow the meat to slow cook over a low heat. I checked my pot every 30 minutes. I was actually doing chores while cooking this beef, and for the purpose of this video, I didn't want it to burn you guys. So even though I ended up only checking my meat twice because I cooked it over a pretty low heat, and I added water each time if my water level was low. I checked my pot only twice, and surprisingly, the beef was cooked within an hour. Now, once the beef is tender enough to the point where that fork almost goes directly through it, when checking that tenderness, then it's time to bring your pot to simmering mode and season your beef again. Once the beef was tender enough to my liking, you guys, I did season my pot a second time. I first went in with my carrots, simply because we do like our carrots a little bit more on the soft side in my house. I'm also going to go in with some more of that complete season, which I did add about a tablespoon and a half in here. I also went in with my pimento seeds, grounded. A little bit more garlic powder, and also that complete seasoning. At this point in time, I advise for you to taste your pot. If the curry is tasting weak, go in with a little bit more curry powder. If it tastes like it needs something, go in with it. And if the gravy is definitely too thick, you want to add some more water to that pot, simply because now we're going to allow the meat to simmer and allow the vegetables to cook. I did also add my potatoes last, and also a piece of thyme. I also went in with about 2 more tablespoons of that fresh blend, you guys. Again, this defeats the purpose of me having to cut up onions and garlic and things of that nature. So I added some more fresh blend to my pot, and I did also add my potatoes last, simply because I didn't want those to be overcooked. I allowed this to simmer, and once the vegetables were cooked, my beef was ready. So for a recap on how we prepared this, you guys, season your meat, season it generously, allow it to sit for a long period of time. The longer it sits, the better it'll taste. Start browning on a high heat. Once you do lower the temperature to allow the meat to cook, check your pot every 30 minutes or so, every 20 minutes or so. Add water to prevent burning, and always check the tenderness of the meat. Once the meat is tender to your liking, season the pot again, allow to simmer with your vegetables, and you should have delicious beef. After about 20 minutes or so, you guys, my vegetable was cooked. My gravy was looking nice and thick and hearty and rich. My beef was super tender, and everything was super delicious. We had this for Sunday dinner, you guys, and it was the most comforting thing ever. We had it with rice and peas and some cucumber slices, and it was so good. So if you guys try this recipe, be sure to share your feedback. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely turn your post notifications on. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope that you guys enjoy this recipe. Be safe out there.